The back and forth, the focused finish. Definitely having a major issue of what was relayed to me as an emotional affair my wife had back late August of this year. Long story short, my wife was acting very distant towards me late June and I knew something was off, but never imagined she was talking with another man who ended up being an old manager for her about 7 years ago. I found the email below to the guy and fully confronted her about it and was very, very hurt and angry. She claims it was only an emotional affair due to issues with my family over the past year and leaned on this guy for extra support. Claimed nothing physical happened and she would cut all communication with him. That didn't happen and she asked to see him over the Labor Day weekend. I confronted her over that, saying if this were to ever happen again, it's over for good. I asked her once again to come clean and she said the guy tried to kiss him, but she backed off before it would happen and she left the bar they met and that's why she wrote this email to him. Well, I just saw she was messaging this guy on LinkedIn last week over a promotion he received at work. Below is what she wrote, and the more I think of this and not wanting to believe it, I really do think she had a one-night fling with this guy. Am I crazy for thinking this? Here is the email. Hi, it's a little easier for me to write this email than text you because it would probably be too long. But you may not even read all of this. First, sorry about last night. Admittedly, I was drinking and thought of you and texted you. That was all my fault. On Friday I had every intention of being okay with what we planned. But like you said, we are friends above all. I think you might have looked at it as a one-time thing where I was looking at it as if all goes well, we could keep this up. Not a relationship by any means, but not a one-time one-night stand. I think that's where I got messed up. After thinking about how it happened, I don't want to not see you and get awkward when I do. I want to be able to call you when I'm in town and have a drink and catch up. Even if it's over your house because we are friends and know each other well. I'm sorry I brought you into my married mess. It's always been easy to talk to you and I think I just felt comfortable enough to put it all on the table. And like you said, I don't deserve some of the crap that's been happening. My next steps are going to be the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. But I need to be happy. The one thing that's always amazes me about you is how caring of a person you are. I think when we crossed the friendship line, that's where I stopped seeing it, and like you said the other night, you were looking at a piece of meat. I'd rather be on the other side because that's how much your friendship means to me and has meant to me over the years. You don't have to respond to this or ever talk to me again if you don't want to. But like I said earlier, I seriously hope I can be friends with you. When I see you, I always remember how much I love hanging around and talking to you. It's not easy to have people in your life where you can pick up at any time like no actual time has passed at all. Either way, you made me think long and hard about my life and I will never be able to repay you for it. I owe you a lot, and like I said yesterday, I wish you nothing but success. I know you'll be great if you get that promotion. You're one of the hardest working, sincere people I know. I hope to talk soon, and if not, know that I appreciate you. If that means anything at all. End of email. This guy doesn't have a wife or a GF, so nothing for him to lose. I've already contacted an attorney today and set an appointment for next Tuesday. Maybe the actual paperwork will get her ass to say what fully happened. An update here, my wife and I ended up going to counseling and are still going through it. A week before Thanksgiving, my wife sat me down to give me the details of what occurred that night. She said the guy did go to the room with her where they made out and he was fingering her. When he started to pull her clothes off, she said that is when she stopped it, and the guy apparently got pissed off and started to be a bee because she wouldn't fully go through with sleeping with him. I was beyond floored listening to all the details, and I told her I would try counseling, more so for the sake of our son. Since then, I did multiple scans of her phone for deleted texts, emails, and haven't seen anything, but I know there is always that chance they could have communicated again. What alarmed me in counseling is I asked her as a request to block this guy on LinkedIn to avoid any and all contact from happening again, and she thought that was petty and did not agree with it. My thought was, if you are done with this guy, then why the hesitation? She ended up deleting him that evening, but I know she wasn't happy, and that part to this day confuses the hell out of me. I did find out though after her run-in with this guy in August that she told him she left me, and I was like, what the hell was the motive in that? He didn't say much except, I just want you to be happy. I've had quite a few people tell me that with the vivid details she provided that night that she probably did come completely clean, but I do feel that she had or still has some strong feelings for this guy. When I try to talk with her about it, she doesn't say anything and just tells me the more I probe, the more I'm pushing her away. This whole ordeal has royally messed me up mentally and become a very negative and closed-off person to all. It's a killer never ever fully believing her and her rationale. It's more so for my son, and I looked at it for the reason to give counseling a chance. I don't believe that is a wrong thing to try, but it's an opinion. I'm getting through to that point that the effort of it is not working, and I don't feel like she is fully in it to make this better. It's hard to talk to your wife about her feelings for another man and she just stares at you with no words. Sorry that I'm venting and it makes me look weak. This is nothing I wish on anyone. After laying it out to her with brutal threats of divorce, and I'm currently staying on my own right now, she admits they kissed, but personally I'm not buying it. This email was way too deep for it to be just a kiss. I've never been so embarrassed and betrayed my entire life. I know it's done and it's hard to come to that realization. It takes a strong man in my book to try than to run away like a child. I gave it a shot and yes, I got burned to a point, but now I know it's not salvageable, and I'm coming to terms with it. Comments: she is the cheater here, not you. Brutal threats of divorce. You draw lines in the sand and she walks over them. She knows there are no consequences. She is a cake eater who does as she pleases. You don't do full exposure because you are afraid. The one thing you should never ever do is leave the home. She can now have full access to her other man. Did they say thank you? It's not salvageable because of her, not you. It is okay and nothing to be ashamed of to admit that you married the wrong person. That you married someone who isn't who you thought. She didn't change, most likely, there were red flags. Good people don't mysteriously become liars and cheaters overnight. The advice I give comes from hoping you don't blame yourself for why your marriage is ending. That's all. What she did most likely has nothing to do with the marriage, and I happen to think she will do this in every relationship she gets into. Until she fixes herself, she will continue to hurt others. This is why the second, third marriage stat has a higher failure rate than first marriages, because a lot of second and third marriages come from affairs, and cheaters just don't make good spouses. OP responds: I reached out to this guy actually back in December to let him know everything I found out, and my wife initially was not happy about it, for obvious reasons. When I told him her details plus my thoughts on what I thought went down, he just said, I respect your wishes and I won't contact her anymore. Of course, he didn't want to say more than he had to, and I believe he did this to try to protect my wife. My wife said the night after the hotel she texted him to ask to hook up. Doesn't make any sense to do that if you didn't do just that the night before. My view is that she slept with him that night of the hotel, and when she wanted more the next night, he told her it was a one-time deal, and that just crushed her. That's my viewpoint on it. Period. 2 years later, I ended up ending my marriage a year ago and finalized the divorce. Honestly, the best move I ever made and learned so much. Truly the best move I ever made, and seriously the happiest I've been literally in years. I found out she was seeing even more men than just this guy. She will never fess up or fully admit to anything she did. She is with a guy who she tried to hide from me late last year with a chick's name in her cell. Good riddance. I'm more than happy to let that sack of crap have her. A month later, I am in a new relationship, and I really struggled at first with this being so new and having my trust so betrayed before. Honestly though, my girlfriend is an incredible woman and life seriously has been amazing. Right after my separation I was promoted at work, so I must say this past year all the way around was fantastic. My ex and I are civil with our son, but it wasn't easy getting there. She wants us to be good friends and that won't ever happen. She is pretty delusional, and that's putting it nicely. She will never be satisfied or truly happy, but that's on her, not my issue. My comment, a simple short one telling your life can be okay after a divorce. Story 2. I can't stop thinking about it. Everything was perfect. I was madly in love with him. He was my knight in shining armor. We were starting a life together, our own. We had both come from broken homes. We had both been hurt. We both agreed on what marriage meant. We were expecting a child. He was away on deployment. I was nervous and anxious and excited for him to come home and hold our beautiful baby for the first time. I knew it wouldn't be perfect, but I didn't expect the reaction I got. There was something different about him. I thought it was me, my body, my stretch marks, my weight gain. I knew I had changed. I was only 3 months postpartum, but I thought I would still be the most beautiful woman in the world to him. I had just given birth to his child. I held on to it. I tried not to let it out. I battled it along with postpartum depression, not wanting to stress him out further with the PTSD that he was dealing with. I thought it would get better, but that feeling in the pit of my stomach wouldn't subside. And I ended up snooping worse than I ever had before. I had told myself I wasn't going to do this with him. He was a better man than that. I caved. There was a picture of his friend. His gorgeous, dirty, perfect, half-bare friend. The emails shattered me. I was hardly mentioned. It was all about how he couldn't stop thinking about her, his crazy fantasy dreams about her, what that might have been. I wanted to X. He denied it. He lied. He tried to cover it up. He made me feel like I should give up. Say you win. It was mean. He was distant. But when I showed him the door, he begged. He cried. Told me he loved me. I tried to get past it. I never did. He would get angry with me if I became insecure. If I had a bad dream. I told him I just didn't feel like it ended. It never did. My husband's EA lasted almost 3 years. We've been married just shy of 4. To make matters worse, the whole time I was forcing myself not to snoop, he physically cheated with strangers. How foolish I feel. How stupid. What is so wrong with me? Why would he do this to me? Why didn't he just leave me? To think that he let me touch him after he had been touched by whoever knows. To think that he could come home to me and our daughter after doing these things. He told me he would never hurt me. He told me after seeing the pain I went through with the picture on his phone, he would never do anything to hurt me. Now he wants me to trust him. I've heard this all before. The begging, the pleading. He says he's being transparent. Completely. I'm not sure. I am afraid I can never be sure. It keeps me up some nights. I have to hide to cry out of fear of exhausting him. I'm afraid I can never get to a point where I'll make him happy. I couldn't before. I'm so broken now. even if I can trust again. I can never be intimate with him like before. The images of what might have happened play in my head relentlessly. I love to be in his arms, but when he hugs me, I have to pull myself away because my chest feels like it's caving in. Let's see. I put this out on my last thread and it was actually a shocker. I know what I've been through, but writing it out just makes the impact a little. Wow. D-Day number 1, mid-July 2019. I was 5 months postpartum from the birth of our first child. This was the discovery of his E with a mutual friend of ours. He dated her back in grade school. So, what? Big deal. I shrugged this off when I met her. He was coming home to me. It was a petty relationship. The emotional affair began when I was only 1 month postpartum, before he even held our child for the first time. But he had witnessed her birth via webcam from Iraq. I found out a month after he came home. He planned to go see her before coming home to his child and me. He planned to sleep with her. He said his guilty conscience got the best of him. But I saw the pictures on his phone. I saw the emails they sent back and forth where I was hardly mentioned other than don't tell her. It was all about his crazy fantasy dreams, his embarrassment, how he was shy about it, the what-ifs, what could have been. Meanwhile, I was at home with a baby. He begged, pleaded, even threatened suicide. Said he would end the ES, said he would avenge C. D-Day number 2, June 29, 2021. This was discovering the EA never ended. We had gotten new phones and phone numbers 6 months prior to this D-Day. It was a coping mechanism for me. This way I knew she didn't have his number. It took me 6 months to look at the phone bill because I trusted him, only to find out he sent her the first text on January 6th. That was 5 days after we received our new phones. He kept his convos with her to text because he was unaware our new carrier kept text logs, as our old carrier didn't. He didn't beg, he lied. He blamed me for the problems in our marriage. I fell for it. I begged him to give me the chance to be the wife he deserved. He agreed that we could work on things when he came home. Deployment. D-Day number 3, September 27, 2021. This was after I was doing well with hiding my pain. I was even sending him dirty pictures and emails of what I was going to do to him when he came home. He was back in the States as of August 30th. He would be home as of October 1st. So, once month stateside without me. It took him 5 days from getting back stateside to find a TV on Craigslist and meet up with IT in a hotel room. This D-Day, I discovered an email account with emails back and forth to 4 PA partners, none of which were the EA partner. These PAs were going on since 2019, shortly after D-Day number 1. I took my wedding ring off for the first time. It's still off. I have picked this to the bone. I have called him names I'm ashamed of. I don't have a problem with gay people. Some of my best friends are gay. But my own husband, I called him a B, a two-faced, disgusting, lying little B. I break down and cry. I get angry. I get furious. He got in my face and said he doesn't need it rubbed in his face all day. It's rubbed in my face every second of the day. Does he not understand that? When my mom and dad divorced, I was the child who wiped my mother's tears, encouraged her to get up in the morning, smiled even though it broke my heart when she wouldn't smile back. My brother ran away. My sister blamed my mom and asked her, why couldn't you just get over it? Why did my mom have to suffer that way? From my brother and sister. She did nothing wrong. I hated them for treating her that way. I don't want wrongful blame. I did nothing wrong. The outcome of this marriage resting on my shoulders is too much to take. It's not fair. I only have one, a daughter. She's about to turn 3. I realize she's very young, but also very, very smart. She does pick up on much more than I wish. I try to be strong, but even pretending she still knows that something isn't quite right with her mommy. I was scared when I noticed my 2-year-old child becoming depressed. She cried like I had never heard her cry before. My family has been supportive and tried to take her off my hands for a while so I have room to be angry and cry if need be. But this seldom happens. I know that if I make my choice quickly, then she will not have a chance to remember the bad from this situation. The problem is being stuck in limbo. I'm not quite ready to try for R, but I'm not quite ready to head towards D yet, either. Does everyone here think me crazy if I still want to be with him? I know it's possible for me to find love again, but it scares me. And I still love my husband so much that I don't have sparks when I look at other men. You know, a giddy feeling when you lock eyes with someone of the opposite gender. Not necessarily that anything may happen, but just that feeling of instant attraction. For a moment and then it's gone just as quickly as they are. I haven't felt that since I met my husband. I haven't even locked eyes with another man since recent. About 2 or 3 weeks ago I actually started allowing myself to look men in the eye. It was a way of me gaining confidence and overcoming my fear and insecurity. Oh, I sound like a basket case. My husband seems to take his anger out on everyone but who I believe he is really angry at. There were times I was onto him cheating, and when I tried to ask him if there were problems in our marriage, he verbally attacked me, told me nothing was going on, it was all in my head, and made me believe I was the only problem in our marriage. Even after finding evidence, emails in black and white, charges to a hotel that I was not at, he tried to make me believe it was all a setup to prove I snooped. A year's worth of emails and Craigslist postings. A setup. I realize he's manipulated me, and just realized this is known as gaslighting. I think it's to the point where even he believes his lies. But the one time I won't let it happen is when it's directed to our 2-year-old daughter. Now I realize that it may not be gaslighting with her, but I hiss taking his anger out on her and she suffers the same thing I suffered as a child. I could never do right by my father. She began having more and more accidents. My husband and I were baffled. Until one day, she called for me. We both got up and she said, "No, I don't want daddy, I want mommy." When got to her, I noticed she wet herself. She had her head down and whimpered. Not a cry, a whimper. I told her she did nothing wrong, that everyone has accidents. I cleaned her up, reassured her again, and all seemed well. It didn't hit me why she didn't want daddy then. Tonight, H and I got into an argument. When our daughter asked for juice, he got up, angrily got her sippy, went to her room to give it to her and said to her, "If you wet the bed again, I'm not cleaning it up. You're sleeping in it." Just a child, she doesn't know why he is mad, doesn't know not to be frightened. I was furious. I said, "She will not sleep in urine if she has an accident." An accident? She would get a rash, and it's cold, she could get sick. No wonder she was scared for you to see she had an accident. She's just a child, she's only 2. His response, "Just because I said it doesn't mean." I cut him off. "You can take your anger out on whoever the hell you want to, but I'll be damned if you take it out on our little girl." I walked away. He walked away. What I do with this information? This is not a one-time thing. I realize even the best of us get angry, but he claims I never talk to him. However, when I do, he gets angry. When he has a problem, if I try to help, he gets angry. If I try to stay out of it, he claims I don't ever help him. If I ask for his input on what restaurant to go to, he claims I'm indecisive. If I make a decision, he seems annoyed. I don't know right from wrong anymore. I'm walking on eggshells around him. I'm trapped and there's no right move I can make. I guess the incident with my daughter makes me feel like there's only one option. Get out. But I know I would expect him to change and come running after us. I feel selfish in the sense I know that I need to protect her, but I am so afraid of losing him. Sometime later, I am having marital issues still. My husband and I have been married 21 years. We started going to the gym in March and he has lost over 80 pounds and I have lost 25. We still go every week and love the results. That is not what the problem was. I thought all this physical change would change him in other ways, but that is not at all true. In October, I went to see a psychologist with my 11-year-old son. After discussing what I have been going through with him, she told me I need to leave and he is a sociopath. That word scared me and I really did not know the true definition of the word. When I got home, I looked online and the description and most characteristics were like his. I was convinced then it wasn't just me. He does selfish and unthinkable things. I asked him to stop at the store on the way back from lunch so I could pick up a card for my sister. His response, "No, I don't want to do that," and interrupt my lunch hour. I called him on my way to work and he answers by saying, "What, I'm trying to get ready." He told me he can't wait till his 19-year-old son moves out and he almost hates him because he doesn't listen to any advice we give him. I am looking for an apartment without him knowing. I have to figure out my finances to see if I can make it on my own. Telling him will be the hardest part. I hate to hurt anyone, but he has hurt me countless ways, including infidelity and money issues. I do not know how he will react. I did not tell him about my counseling because he belittles me and tells me I don't need to go through counseling. We can work on our problems without help. I guess I am changing as I get older, and at 44, I am realizing what I want and what he wants are two different things. He still games but has cut back. He is on his game Friday night through Sunday evening and some weekdays. Some things just do not change. Hubby is nice to me when he wants to be. He can be very charming when he has to be. If he knows he was being impossible, then he tries to appear like he cares. If it's his 11-year-old who wants to spend time with him, he will ignore him because he doesn't want to be bothered. He signed me up for credit cards and ran them up. We had to file bankruptcy over 15 years ago, trying to stay ahead of the bills now. He has been a lot better about that. He still buys toys, but we all do. His personality is so up and down and he is high-strung. I just want to spend time with him as well as family time, but he doesn't show any interest. That is what frustrates me. I have tried to leave in the past, but he cries and says he will change. It lasts about a week and he is right back to where he was. My 11-year-old spoke with the psychologist and she said I need to move on for his sake. He doesn't do anything with him but tell him what to do. I guess I am scared to be on my own, not knowing what will happen to me filing for bankruptcy. His sister even notices change in him and has given up all contact with him because he chooses to ignore her too. He has no friends except those on his video game as he plays online. So many things to consider before making the move. Lawyers are costly too. I think I may try a family member for help with staying somewhere. Final update. 2 years have passed since my last D-Day and my life has changed drastically. I took a long and difficult road to get to where I am today. It's been a journey of self-discovery and healing. I've realized that the power to heal and move forward was always within me. I just needed to tap into it. After much therapy and self-reflection, I decided that it was best for me and my daughter to leave my husband and start a new chapter in my life. It was a difficult decision, but one that I felt was necessary for my own happiness and well-being. I've learned that I am a strong, resilient woman who deserves love and respect. I've found peace and happiness within myself and no longer rely on a relationship to define my worth. I am now in a healthy, loving relationship with a man who treats me with the love and respect that I deserve. Looking back on my past, I can see how far I've come and how much I've grown. I've learned to trust my instincts and to never settle for less than what I deserve. My experience has taught me that it's important to prioritize my own well-being and happiness, and to never compromise on what I believe to be right. I am grateful for the lessons I've learned and the person I've become. My past may have been filled with pain and heartache, but I choose to focus on the present and the future, knowing that with each day, I am becoming a stronger and more resilient person. My comment: OP finally moved on after all the problems. For some people, it takes a while to get out of their marriage. I hope OP learned something from this. I will try to upload a second video today. See you in the next lesson.